Pat, ultimately the crucial contests tonight were won by the players in the Collingwood jumpers.
Yeah, they were. It felt like we were playing catch-up for a fair bit of the game, and then we had opportunities at different stages and then just weren't able to capitalise on them. And to Collingwood's credit, they played a great game of footy.
Despite the result, I don't think we can really call into question the effort of the boys tonight.
No, and that's always the case for our group, regardless of the injuries that happened during it or what we've seen in the last couple of weeks with a few guys going down. The collective is really impressive with our endeavour. I think just found wanting. I think at different stages tonight where we just needed a little bit more poise at different stages. Collingwood probably adapted a bit better to the conditions than what we did.
You mentioned poise. It seemed like tonight we couldn't quite break through their pressure, and every time we got it out of a contest, it was a hurried kick long.
Yeah, and that's the challenge. They fronted and pressured quite well, and just weren't able to create those chains out of midfield stoppages, and conversely, Collingwood were. So, there's some positives to take out of the game, but there's also some RFIs.
So did the wet weather tonight factor into that at all? We didn't seem to quite be able to possess the ball like we usually like to.
Yeah, we could have adapted quicker than what we did. We spoke about it. It was something that we focused on. Probably could have used the ball a bit better at stages rather than just quick kicking, but that's always the adjustment when the rain's there and the pressure's high. That feeling of under pressure, get it on the boot, get it moving forward versus just sometimes when you can use the ball and use your numbers around it. But that's something that, we'll review and delve into during the week.
Some disappointing news on the injury front as well with Jordan Clark and Joel Selwood.
Yeah, absolutely. Really disappointing for Clarkey, who, he's had his fair share of injuries for a young player. So we're certainly thinking of him. But he's a really resilient character, wonderful person to have around the club. So we'll rally around him, and our medicos will, seek the best advice and go forward from there. So certainly thinking of the young fella, and the skip, just pulled up a bit sore, and it wasn't worth, risking that going forward, especially with the condensed games that we're going to see at different stages. So he'll be a touch and go for the next game.
Got an 11-day break now. What do we do to make sure we don't dwell on that result for too long and move on to the next contest?
Yeah, it's obviously a different environment that we're in. No one goes home, everyone goes back. And the important thing is you don't sit in your hotel room for the next couple of days. We've got to move forward. Yep, recognise there's areas we can improve. But there's some wonderful efforts tonight defensively, some wonderful plays. So we'll recognise them and then, move on to our next game. So, in this sort of environment, we're going to make sure that we rally around each other, and it was by no means a disaster. There's still plenty of stuff that was pretty good.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Dave.